When life breaks you, it does not ask for permission. It does not knock before entering. It storms in. It rips apart the plans you held so close. It crushes your heart, tests your soul, and leaves you gasping for air. When everything seems to be falling apart, when the weight of life feels too heavy to carry, the very first thing you must remember is to breathe before you break. There is a moment between the chaos and your reaction, a small space where time feels like it slows down. That space is where your power lives. Most people panic when life hits them hard. They scream, they cry, they rush to fix what has fallen apart. But in that rush, they lose themselves. They make choices out of fear, not wisdom. They act from pain, not clarity. Breathing before you break means allowing yourself that sacred pause. It means resisting the temptation to let your emotions control the moment. Think of the strongest trees in the forest. When the storm comes, they do not fight the wind. They stand tall, rooted deep, but they sway. They let the wind pass through them instead of snapping under its pressure. That is what breathing does for you. It keeps you rooted when life tries to rip you apart. A single deep breath can slow your racing heart. It can silence the noise in your head. It can remind you that even though everything feels urgent, not everything requires a reaction right now. Breathing before you break is not weakness. It is wisdom. Anyone can panic. Anyone can shout, blame, cry, or run away. But it takes strength to stay still in the middle of chaos, to sit with your pain for a moment without letting it define you, to feel everything yet let nothing control you. Breathing is your first act of defiance against the storm, because it says, I will not let this moment decide who I am. When life hits you, your mind will tell you to fight back immediately, to make the pain stop at any cost. But that first breath gives you the power to choose your next step instead of reacting blindly. It is in that pause that you regain control over yourself. And when you have control over yourself, nothing outside of you can truly break you. Many people think strength is about never feeling pain, never crying, never slowing down. But true strength is staying calm when the world expects you to fall apart. It is knowing that emotions are waves, and if you let them crash without judgment, they will pass. The first breath gives you that chance. It creates space between what happened and what you will do about it. It keeps you from saying words you cannot take back, from making decisions you will regret, from hurting yourself or others because of temporary feelings. Breathing before you break allows you to face reality as it is, not as your fear paints it to be. It reminds you that no matter how big the problem looks, you are still here, still alive, still capable of choosing your response. It gives you a moment to gather your strength, to feel the ground beneath your feet, to remind yourself that this pain will not last forever. It is the smallest action, yet it changes everything, because when you control your breath, you begin to control your mind. And when you control your mind, the storm outside cannot destroy the calm inside. When pain enters your life, it rarely knocks first. It comes like unexpected rain on a day you thought would be sunny. It soaks everything you planned, everything you dreamed, and for a moment, you feel as though the whole world has turned against you. The instinct most people have is to either fight it with all their might or let it consume them completely. But neither works. Fighting pain as if it should not exist only makes it stronger, and letting it live in your heart as a permanent guest steals your peace long after the moment has passed. The real strength is to accept the pain without inviting it to stay. Acceptance does not mean surrendering to suffering or pretending you like what happened. It means you stop denying reality. You stop saying this should not have happened. This cannot be true. This is unfair. Because the more you fight the fact that it happened, the deeper you fall into anger, frustration, and despair. When you accept the pain, you say to yourself, yes, this hurts. Yes, this was not what I wanted, but it is here, and I will face it. That simple act takes away half the power pain has over you. Refusing to accept it keeps you chained to the question, why me? While accepting it frees your mind to ask, what now? The first question keeps you stuck in the past. The second moves you toward healing. But here is where people often go wrong. They confuse acceptance with building a home for the pain inside their heart. They replay the hurt in their minds over and over. They carry it like a badge, telling themselves, this is who I am now. I am the one who was betrayed, the one who failed, the one who lost everything. They let pain become their identity, and in doing so, they invite it to stay forever. That is not acceptance. That is surrendering your life to the very thing that broke you. You must learn the art of feeling the pain fully, without letting it define you. When someone betrays you, feel the sting. Cry if you must, grieve what you lost. But do not turn your heart into a museum of that moment. Do not let it take root until every thought, every choice, every relationship is poisoned by what happened. Pain will knock at every door in your life, but you have the choice to open it only long enough to acknowledge it before sending it away. Acceptance is powerful because it shifts your focus from what you cannot change to what you can. The past cannot be rewritten, no matter how much you wish it could, but the present is still yours. The future is still unwritten. Accepting the pain clears the fog in your mind, so you can see the path forward, instead of staring at the ruins behind you. This is why some people rise from the same disasters that destroy others. It is not because their pain was smaller. It is because they refused to carry it longer than they had to. They let it teach them, but they did not let it own them. They accepted it as part of the story, not the whole book. They understood that pain is a visitor, not a permanent resident, unless you hand it the keys to your soul. There comes a moment in life when the noise around you becomes too loud, when every voice seems to tell you that you are not enough, that you cannot rise again, that the weight you carry will crush you before the sun comes up tomorrow. These voices can come from the world outside or from the corners of your own mind, and sometimes they echo so loudly that you begin to believe them. That is when you must learn to speak life into your own soul. Because if you wait for the world to encourage you, to build you up, to tell you that you are stronger than the storm, you may be waiting forever. The world is often too busy, too blind, too cold to hand you the words you need, so you must learn to give them to yourself. Speaking life into your soul is not about empty affirmations or repeating words you do not believe. It is about refusing to let the negative voices have the final say. It is about looking at the pain, the fear, the failure, and saying, this will not be the end of me. Even when you feel broken, you must speak as though healing is possible. Even when you are tired, you must speak as though strength will return. The words you tell yourself in the dark matter more than the words anyone else offers in the light, because they are the ones that shape the way you rise when no one is watching. The mind believes what it hears the most, and for many people, it hears doubt far more often than hope. They wake up telling themselves they cannot do it, they are too weak, too late, too unlucky. And with every repetition, the belief grows until it becomes a cage. To break that cage, you must start feeding your mind words of life, even when they feel unnatural at first. You must tell yourself you are capable, that you will overcome, that you are more than what happened to you. At first, your heart may not believe it. Your mind may argue back with every memory of failure it has stored. But if you keep speaking life, if you keep choosing words of strength over words of defeat, something begins to change inside you. It is like planting seeds in barren soil. The ground may look empty for a long time, but beneath the surface, life begins to take root. One day, without warning, the first signs of growth appear, and what once seemed like dead earth becomes a place of possibility again. That is what your words do to your soul. They plant hope where there was none. They water the strength that pain tried to dry out. They remind you that no storm lasts forever, and neither will this season of heaviness. When you speak life into your own soul, you also silence the power of the voices that try to break you. Because the moment you stop agreeing with them, they lose their hold. They may still whisper, but they no longer control the story you tell yourself. And the story you tell yourself matters because it decides how you carry yourself, how you fight back, how you heal. A person who tells themselves they are finished will stop trying long before the battle is over. But a person who tells themselves there is still a way will keep moving even through the fire. This is why learning to speak life into your own soul is a weapon no one can take from you. It turns your mind into a place of strength instead of fear. It turns your heart into a home for courage instead of despair. It builds you from the inside out until no matter what comes against you, there is a voice within that says, "We will rise again." When life knocks you down, the first feeling that usually comes is exhaustion, the sense that you do not have the strength to keep moving forward. Everything in you wants to stop, to give up, to stay where you have fallen, because the weight feels too heavy to carry anymore. People around you may tell you to stay positive, to stay strong, but they do not see how tired your heart is, how your thoughts feel like they are dragging chains behind them. In those moments, moving forward may seem impossible, but this is when you must remember that progress does not always look like a sprint. Sometimes it is a crawl, a slow, shaky movement that barely looks like progress at all, but it is. Even if you can only take the smallest step, you must take it. Because staying in the same place when pain has hit you will slowly turn into sinking. Like quicksand pulling you deeper with every day, you refuse to move. The step does not have to be big, it does not have to be impressive, it just has to be forward. Some people wait until they feel fully ready, fully strong, fully healed before they begin again. They wait for perfect conditions, but those conditions rarely come. Waiting often becomes another word for stopping, and stopping turns into giving up without realizing it. There is a strange power in small movements. When you decide to get up even with trembling legs, when you choose to try again even though you still feel afraid, you are telling life that it will not have the final word. The step itself may not solve everything, but it breaks the illusion that you are powerless. It reminds you that you are still capable of choosing, of moving, of fighting for what comes next even if it feels like you are crawling through fire. The world often glorifies speed and perfection, as if the only victories worth celebrating are the big ones that look impressive from a distance. But real strength is often built in the quiet, unremarkable steps no one sees. Getting out of bed after a night of heartbreak, making that phone call you have been avoiding, showing up for work when your heart is heavy. These things may not look like much, but they are how you keep moving when quitting feels easier. Every step forward, no matter how small, keeps the door open for change. Movement creates possibility. It stops the pain from hardening into permanent hopelessness. It gives your mind proof that the story is not over yet, that you are not stuck forever in the place where you fell. Some days the step might be a bold leap, other days it might be dragging yourself just 1 inch closer to tomorrow, but both matter because they keep you in motion. And sometimes that motion itself begins to rebuild your strength. When you keep moving, even through tears, you discover parts of yourself you did not know existed. You find that you can endure more than you thought, that your limits were further than you imagined. Crawling forward teaches you persistence in a way sprinting never could. It strips away the pressure to be perfect and leaves only the raw determination to keep going no matter how heavy the weight becomes. Life will try to convince you that if you cannot run, you should not move at all. That if you are not winning fast, you are losing. But survival itself is a victory when everything tries to break you. Moving, even if you crawl, keeps that victory alive, one breath, one step, one moment at a time. There comes a point when you realize not everyone deserves access to your mind, your heart, or your peace. Life teaches this lesson slowly, often through pain, through moments when you let the wrong voices stay too close, and they fill your mind with doubt, fear, or chaos. Protecting your peace is not about running away from the world or living with walls so high that no one can reach you. It is about understanding that your inner world is sacred, and not every thought, not every person, not every opinion has earned the right to enter and stay. Too often, people open the doors of their minds to anything and anyone. A negative comment, a cruel word, a small failure, and suddenly the whole day is poisoned because they gave it power it never deserved. Peace is not something you find, it is something you build and guard. You cannot control what people say or what storms life sends your way, but you can control what you let inside. When you allow every criticism, every fear, every toxic opinion to settle in your thoughts, you are handing over the keys to your most private space. That space should be protected like a sacred temple, because what lives there will shape how you see yourself, how you make decisions, how you survive the hard seasons. Protecting your peace sometimes means saying no when you want to please everyone. It means turning off the noise of the world so you can hear your own thoughts again. It means not giving energy to arguments that lead nowhere, to people who thrive on chaos, to memories that hurt more than they teach. It is not selfish to guard your mind, it is survival. A tired, restless, constantly disturbed mind cannot build anything strong. It reacts to life instead of leading it. It breaks under pressure because it never has a moment to breathe, to rest, to gather strength. When you learn to protect your peace, you stop chasing the need to explain yourself to everyone. You stop trying to win battles with people who have already decided not to understand you. You stop letting the weight of every opinion crush you, because you realize not every voice carries truth, and not every judgment deserves your attention. Some people will always misunderstand you, always find something to criticize, always bring their storm to your doorstep. Protecting your peace is choosing not to let them live rent free in your mind. It is also about the thoughts you entertain in silence. Sometimes the loudest battles are not with other people, but with yourself. The memories of failure, the fears about the future, the endless what-ifs that steal your sleep. These things can fill your mind until peace feels impossible. This is why you must be intentional about what you focus on, about the words you repeat to yourself, about the energy you allow to stay. Your peace depends on what you feed your mind, on whether you keep replaying pain or start building hope instead. People will not always understand why you choose distance, silence, or boundaries, but they do not need to. Protecting your peace is not about them. It is about keeping your inner world strong enough to handle life without falling apart every time something goes wrong. It is about creating a space inside you where calm lives even when everything outside you feels like chaos. Every day you wake up, there is a choice waiting for you. The choice to focus on what went wrong yesterday, or to look for even the smallest light today. Choosing the light is not about ignoring the pain or pretending everything is perfect. It is about refusing to let the darkness write the whole story of your life. There will always be reasons to give up, to stay bitter, to believe nothing will change. But there will also be reasons, sometimes small and hard to see, to believe in a better tomorrow. Choosing the light means training your heart to look for those reasons, no matter how faint they seem. Life will not stop sending storms just because you want peace. Some days the sky will stay heavy and nothing will feel right. People will disappoint you, plans will fall apart, and the weight of it all will press on your chest until breathing itself feels like work. But in those moments, you still hold one power that nothing can take from you: the power to decide where your focus will stay. You can stare at the darkness until it consumes you, or you can search for the light, even if it is just a tiny spark in the corner of the night. That choice will not change the storm immediately, but it will change you, And sometimes there's what keeps you standing when everything tries to knock you down. Choosing the light is not always easy, because pain demands attention. It screams louder than gratitude, it feels heavier than hope, and it convinces you that nothing good exists beyond it. That is why you have to fight for the light. You have to look at what you still have instead of only what you lost. You have to notice the people who stayed instead of only the ones who walked away. You have to thank life for the breath in your lungs, even when everything else feels uncertain. The more you practice this, the stronger it becomes, until one day you realize the darkness no longer controls how you see the world. People often think positivity is a mood that comes when life is easy, but it is a decision you make when life is hard. It is telling yourself there is still something worth living for, something worth fighting for, even when you cannot see the whole picture yet. It is choosing to believe that the story is not over, that tomorrow holds possibilities today cannot show you. Sometimes the light you choose is simply refusing to let bitterness turn your heart cold. It is smiling at a stranger, helping someone else even when you are struggling, speaking kindly to yourself when your mind wants to be cruel. These small acts keep your spirit alive. They remind you that even in a world full of pain, there is still room for goodness, for hope, for beauty. And the more you choose the light, the more it grows. It starts as a decision, then becomes a habit, then turns into strength you did not know you had. One day, you realize the same storms that used to break you can no longer shake you the same way, because you have learned where to place your focus. Darkness may visit, but it does not stay, because you have built the habit of looking for what shines even in the hardest nights. When life tries to break you, it is easy to believe that the story ends in pain, that the weight will crush you, that you will never stand again. But every moment you breathe before you break, every time you accept the pain without letting it own you, every word of life you speak into your soul, every small step you take even when it feels too heavy, every boundary you draw to protect your peace, and every choice you make to see the light instead of the darkness. These are the pieces that rebuild you. They remind you that strength is not about never falling, but about rising differently each time. Life will keep testing you, storms will keep coming, but what defines you is not what you lose in the fire. It is what you choose to become after it.